Mr Chair, this government has got it right around education, and when you look at the situation in early childhood education, it is all about giving people the opportunity that early childhood education offers, and we do recognise that lifting achievements in education is very important and that it does start at the earliest of stages. So directing the near $100 million towards increasing participation is about getting it right. It's about giving those people who normally would have the door of opportunity closed on them to early education, opening it up and giving them that opportunity. So really, when we look at education, it has been central to this government's plan around lifting economic potential in the long term, and we see that starting at early childhood education. It was quite interesting. I had a small number of school early childhood education centres come to me early on when the policy came out of capping 80% teacher-led, and I was sort of at a while led to believe that it was a terrible sort of thing, but then I had Louise Upston come down, a wonderful MP from Taupo, and we went round the rest of the early childhood education centres in Marlborough, and we got a totally different story. We got a very positive story, how 80% was doing a wonderful job, that they were able to bring in very capable senior people, mature people who could meet those needs, and we could make the funding go so much further, so much more effectively. But, Mr Speaker, I also want to concentrate around the area of that transition of schooling to work. It has been an area where the last administration failed miserably. They threw heaps of money at it and achieved nothing. And what the national government has done is implemented the Youth Guarantee program. It's a fantastic policy. What it's enabled to do is for children who have not really been able to find the schooling environment to meet their need, they've been able to be given a universal entitlement of free access to the Wainanga, to polytechs and such like, in courses such as automotive engineering, tourism, travel, business administration, carpentry and such like. This is such a common sense approach to ensuring that those children that have a hands-on learning style are hooked into education for as long as possible. Because if you can see the relevance of what you're learning, you will be passionate about it.
Order.
Sorry, Mr Chair. One will see the wisdom of the education and be quite passionate about it. So with the 4,000 places that have been made available to Youth Guarantee is a great step forward, and it is making sure that those young ones, 16 and 17-year-olds, do not fall between the gap. Adding to that, this government is working around creating a number of trade academies. This too is a further enhancement, Mr Chair, on the entitlement of tying young people who are not necessarily going to go to university but are going to be wonderful citizens of New Zealand who need the literacy and numeracy skills to be able to complete a trade, and therefore need to be tied in as long as possible into education, so that they can, when they commence their trades, that they have that level of literacy and numeracy and maths so as to be able to complete the distance learning aspects of the trade. So it's an area that we have been void in this country around education for many, many years. Too much of our focus has been on a single academic pathway leading into university or such like. The biggest challenge that this government faces now, and we will address it, is how do we attract the right teachers that will do the training? Because if we don't get those right teachers to inspire, build up and create the passion that we need in our students, we will have failed them. And that's the point that we are very conscious of, and it's wise to see now that the government has allocated $36 million to support those children under national standards who are identified as being below the plunket line, if you want to describe it that way, so that we can actually lift them up with the skills that we have. We've got the skills and we need to be able to continue to lift them up to do so.
Members, the question is that the report of the Education and Science Committee on the 2009-10 financial review of the Ministry of Education be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary opinion, no. The ayes have it. Members, I understand that the next financial review members